Welcome to the Bounce Media Network. It's your host, the one and only MC, Mr. J Ski, coming to you live and direct. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that bell notification, like the video, share the video, and hype the video if that feature is still available for you. All right, so, newsflash, the Indiana Fever defeated the Washington Mystics tonight, and I'm supposed to come on here and tell you that everything's great in Feverland. We won the game and all is well. All right. But me being me, I cannot do that. I can't come on here and just glaze and gloss over everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. The game was a snooze fest. It was hard to watch. All right. I toughed through it. As usual, I was on live at the Ben Daniels podcast, and pretty much everybody was saying the same thing over there. The game was pretty boring. It was hard to get through. We were definitely playing Stephanie Metheny, the android basketball. The no offense offensive system was in full effect, and we scored less than 80 points. All right. I don't know, what to say other than that, but it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and give you the play-by-play, go through quarter for quarter, and we'll see what we arrive at by the closing remarks of the video. All right, so first quarter, 2-2 at the 2 minute and 50-second mark. All right, with an Aaliyah Boston layup. All right, Caitlin Clark hits a three-pointer at the 3 minute and 30-minute mark, 3 minute 30-second mark. Dantas is in for the first quarter. Didn't see her last game, so she makes an appearance in this game. All right, Caitlin Clark, fast break steal, 2 points, 14-9, Indiana. All right, Aaliyah Boston gets an and one, misses the free throw. Okay, 16-14, Indiana. Caitlin Clark step back three-pointer. She has at 10 points at this time in the game with the 1 minute left in the first. All right, 2 fouls on Caitlin Clark. First quarter for Clark, 21-14, Indiana. All right, so the best quarter was the first quarter up until the winding down minutes of the fourth. All right, so the second and the third, like I said, trash ball, bad basketball, very slow offensively, low scoring quarters. But the first quarter, everything looked like it was going to be a fairly decent game. All right, so in the second quarter, Caitlin Clark gets benched at the 32nd and 30 seconds of the second quarter. All right, so Lexi Hull hits a three-pointer with 28-19, Indiana. 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Ty Harris has been in for 4 minutes, 0 points. All right, Kelsey Mitchell hits a three. We're 33-20, Indiana. Clark still out at the 5 minute mark. All right, as soon as I wrote that down, 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Caitlin Clark comes back in off the bench. Ty Harris looks off Caitlin Clark 2 times in this second quarter. If you go back and look, I'm going to try and pull that up before I publish this video. All right, so Ty Harris looks Caitlin Clark off 2 times in the second quarter. All right, so she's back in at 5.3 minutes. Nice dime to Hines Allen, 2 points on the layup. Caitlin Clark assists. Sophie Cunningham gets her first points of the game, three-pointer. Okay, 38-23, Indiana. Third foul on Clark. No challenge from Stephanie White. And I think she should have challenged this, but she didn't challenge it. Whatever. It is what it is. We're at halftime, 43-29. Caitlin Clark is still at 10 points. All right. So, now we're on to the third. Caitlin Clark is in at the start of the third. All starters are in at this time in the third quarter. Caitlin Clark hits a three-pointer and one hard foul on a closeout. They didn't rule it a flagrant foul, but she did hit the free throw. So Caitlin Clark has 14 points. Now we're 48-32 Indiana. All right. So at this point, Indiana still has a pretty nice lead. All right. So timeout at the 5 minute and 32-second mark. Okay, the Mystics go on a 9-0 run in this quarter, in the third quarter, 51-44. Okay, you see where this is going? All right, so Sophie Cunningham hits another three-pointer, 58-46 Indiana. Then the Mystics go on a 7-0 run, no timeout from Stephanie White. All right, Life is back in. For Washington, they're getting their second win, 58-51, Indiana. Aaliyah Boston has 5 fouls at this point in the game. All right, 58-53, Indiana. All right, so now we're in the fourth quarter. All right, this is where all things start to unravel for Indiana. And like I said, in the third quarter, you can see that Washington, Citron and company were starting to get their second win. All right, so we're 60-53, Indiana. Lexi Holt, three-pointer, 63-56, Indiana. All right, Caitlin Clark is back in at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Immediate turnover. Ty Harris is... I wrote down Ty Harris is trash. So that's just a note I wrote off to the side. Caitlin Clark drive to the rack, 2 points. Okay, so it's a 2-point game now. All right, if you recall, we were at 48-46 in the third quarter, then 58-53, 60-53, and somehow it's a 2-point game. All right, so 2-point game, 69-67. All right, and I wrote a mark, the Fever suck. Okay, so 4 minutes and 35 seconds to go. I've lost all hope for Mo Billings. Mo Billings is trash. That's what I wrote down on my paper. Mo Billings is trash. Caitlin Clark pitches a dime across court to Aaliyah Boston. 2 points, all right, for Aaliyah Boston. All right, so 2 minutes left, 73-70, Indiana. Kelsey Mitchell has 5 fouls. Aaliyah Boston has 5 fouls. Mo Billings has 5 fouls. All right, Sophie Cunningham cannot finish at the rim to save her life in this game. All right, and I wrote a little mark off to the side. Sophie Cunningham is trash also. All right, 74-73, Washington. That's right, 74-73. We were up by multiple points throughout this game. Became a 2-point game, and now they're up 74-73. Wow, 41 seconds to go. Fever timeout. All right, Caitlin Clark is fouled. She misses both free throws and Home Alone face. Don to Kelsey Mitchell, 2 points on the drive. Good look, CC. 75-74 Indiana, 11.3 seconds left. Lexi Holt fouls Sonia Citron. 75-76. She hits 2 free throws. All right, so now we're at 4.3 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It's the Fever ball. Sophie Cunningham is doing the inbound. She pitches a dime across the court to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark hits a three-pointer. Looks like a 30-footer to me, at least 27, 30 feet. Clutch three-pointer, wins the game, 78-76. All right, so when all else fails, Caitlin Clark puts the cape on and does what she needs to do in clutch time, and we win the game. Like I said, this game, just like many of these Fever games these days, if you blink, you're going to miss something great, but if you stay for the duration, you're going to be bored out of your mind. All right, it was bad basketball for the most part of the game, and I'm starting to find it a chore to get through it, to watch it, just so I can basically, it's like I'm doing it for work. Okay, I'm doing it so I can report back to you guys. All right, so extensive post-game reaction coming after this, but for the most part, hey, we won the game. A win is a win. This is the 11th game of the season, and now we're 6-5. All right, like the video, share the video, hype the video. I'm Mr. J Ski, and this has been The Bounce. Good night.